Here, welcome to my Mastery Pre-Season 7 video for junglers. Today what we're going to be looking at is mostly presets for junglers on what you want to be taking when it comes to what type of jungler you're going to be playing. So essentially you can use this video to fill out the mastery pages for every single jungler that you want to play. Now yesterday LS/Shadow actually did a mastery video for every single champion in the game, or at least I think he did. I'm pretty sure it's like that. I haven't actually watched it personally myself, but LS/Shadow does. He's a smart guy, does good stuff. So if you're interested in stuff that isn't towards junglers, or you want more like specific pages for specific champions rather than what I'm going to be doing today, which is taking a look at kind of archetypes, like what type of champions would be using certain things, and then you can kind of deduce what certain champions should pick, then I would go watch his video. I'll link to it down below in the description. But as I do every year when the preseason comes out, I'm going to be doing a rundown today of the masteries, what you're going to be wanting to look at when it comes to your junglers. So first things first, I'm going to do a TLDR of this video in the first 10 seconds here, saying that basically if you're an assassin, Thunderlords is the best choice for you. If you are a tank with crowd control, then this new Courage of the Colossus is best for you. And if you're an initiator, again, Courage of the Colossus is good too. But outside of that, it's very situational. So if that's all you cared about, then you can run with that information. You can leave. Do me a favor though, leave a cheeky thumbs up on this video as well, so you're not just pumping and dumping me like an easy girl on prom night. But outside of that, let's get into some more detail here if you guys want to see some more detail. And firstly, I'll start by giving a really quick rundown of what's new with these mastery pages. What changes have come about that you need to know about. Firstly, Fresh Blood now. I mean, you can read these pages in your mastery book. I don't need to go over too much detail, but this essentially is a good mastery for kind of harassing in lane. There's also changed some of these ones down here. Bandit Hunt's pretty much the same, but this double-edged sword now, deal 5% additional damage, take 2.5% additional damage. It's basically like a stronger version of the double-edged sword you saw from last season, and they've removed the Oppressor Mastery as well. And this Battle Trance, gain up to 5% increased damage over 5 seconds when in combat with enemy champions. So those are the big changes here from here as well. Further Battle got a little bit of a change as to like how it kind of works, but it's pretty much still the same as well. It's like, in essence, as to what it does. In the Cunning Tree here, the big changes, you've got Greenfather's Gift. Stepping into a bush causes your next damaging attack or ability to deal 3% of your target's current health as binding magic damage with a 9-second cooldown. But outside of that, it's all the same in this tree. And then in the Resolve tree, there are a few changes here. Siege Master, gain 8 armor and magic resist when you're near an allied tower. Fearless, gain 10% plus 2 per level bonus armor and magic resist when damaged by an enemy champion for 2 seconds with a 9-second cooldown. And then this Courage of the Colossus, gain a shield for 10 plus 10 per level, plus 7% of your maximum health for each nearby enemy champion for 4 seconds after hitting an enemy champion with hard crowd control, 30-second cooldown. So basically, a massive shield when you start a fight with a huge CC when you're surrounded by other people, depending on how tanky you are. So those are the big changes to the mastery pages. What exactly would you be taking depending on what champion you're going to play? Well, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you are going to go for Assassins, this is the kind of page that I'd recommend. I still think Thunderlords is the best choice for Assassins. Thunderlords allows you to have a stronger burst, and really it's pretty straightforward. Not much has changed there. There are obviously going to be certain kind of like small changes you can make here depending on your preferences and what champion you're playing. But for example, like if you're playing Elise with this page, then maybe you want to go for Sorcery instead of Fury. Maybe you'd want some Feast if you've got kind of like a weak early clear, perhaps, if you don't want to go for this Fresh Blood. This is kind of situational as well. Again, like Assassin, maybe you could take over Runic Affinity. It's kind of up to you. Greenfather's Gift you could go for as well if you don't want Dangerous Game. And again, of course, Intelligence if you want more CDR. It kind of depends what champion you're playing specifically, but more or less a page that looks like this is what you'd want to be running when you're playing the Assassins in the jungle. So these are people like Kha'Zix, Evelynn, DPS Lee Sin, like I mentioned, DPS Elise, like I mentioned, but also DPS Lee Sin. These are pretty solid page for that. Now, outside of that, if you're playing the CC tanks, the crowd control tanks that have a lot of crowd control, you want to be going something like this, specifically getting Courage of the Colossus in the new mastery in the Resolve tree. They remove Strength of the Ages and put this one in. Essentially what this does, like I said, if you've got a hard CC, which is like a stun, or a charm actually counts as well, like taunts and charms, like knock-ups, those kind of things. Basically things that remove control of your character. So if you afflict a crowd control onto the enemy, that actually stops them from being able to do anything, not like a slow or something like that, or a silence, but that kind of thing, that is a hard CC. Essentially, you get a massive shield depending on how tanky you are as well. Now, I actually think this Fearless one is a bit underrated. This Fearless Mastery, it gives you bonus armor and magic resist when damaged by an enemy champion. So essentially, it makes you tankier as well every 9 seconds. But 9 seconds is quite a long time for one team fight, unless it's really late game and really extended team fight. So essentially, it's basically like the first kind of hit. For 2 seconds after you first get hit, you're going to be a lot tankier. Now, honestly, it's the same concept with this Courage of the Colossus. When you first dive in, you're really tanky, and that's actually really strong. I think Courage of the Colossus is too strong right now. This needs a nerf in my personal opinion. The shield's too big. If you think about it, 10 shield flat plus 10 per level. So if you're like level, I don't know, 10 or something, like in a mid-game team fight, that's already 110 bloody shield coming through. Plus 7% of your max health, so if you've got like 2.5k health, you're going to be getting like 100, almost 200 extra shield from that as well. So that's like 300 health shield per enemy champion nearby you for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Still have the shield up. You know, it's a very long time to have a shield up, honestly, when you're initiating a fight. So I think it's a really, really solid mastery, and like what you go outside of this is kind of up to you. I would recommend, you know, like for example, I think Fearless is really good, but you could go for like a summoner spell cooldown thing if you're someone who really needs like a flash to set something up, maybe like a Mumu or something, if you're going to be using your flash quite a lot, if you think that's quite valuable for you. And then what you get for these like 12 points left over, I think is also kind of up to you. I don't really think that the Ferocity tree really gives you too much if you're a tank anymore, like further down these 2 points. I don't really think it's that useful. This Fury is still good because a lot of CC tanks tend to kind of struggle with their clears, especially in the early game. So having Fury can really help. But if you're someone like Zac, for example, then maybe you want Sorcery instead, something like that. Exposed Weakness is kind of up to you. You could go for Feast as well, but I kind of like Exposed Weakness. I think it's a bit underrated. And then I've just gone for the Savagery and the Runic Affinity. It's Savagery giving you better clears, but again, you could go for Wander if you wanted to, and Runic Affinity. So you've got your blue buff up more, which tends to be really good for like CC, like these proper tanks in the early game. They need their blue buff up quite a long time because they're spamming their abilities to clear. But you can kind of do anything you want really in these 12 points. This is just what I thought was quite a nice page. So really, that's kind of all I can say as far as if you're playing these type of champions, pick this type of mastery. The weird thing, and I guess the cool thing about the Season 7 masteries is that for everything else, it's really quite champion specific. I was trying to do just archetypes, and I was really struggling to do it. Like back in the day, Strength of the Ages was just really good on pretty much any champion, so you could take it on anyone. If you're a tank, if you're a bruiser, you go Strength of the Ages. But like for example, if you're playing someone like Hecarim, then it's up to you what you'd want to go for. You could go for Storm Rager's Surge on Hecarim, who Hecarim is like classified as a bruiser. You could go for Storm Rager's Surge because you usually do more than 30% of the enemy AD carry when you jump in. Then you've got the extra move speed, which is great on Hecarim. But again, you could also go for Courage of the Colossus because a Fear would count as the hard CC, and also the knockback from your E would also count as a hard CC. So if you're initiating on Hecarim, you get this massive shield as well. So it's kind of up to you, honestly, which one you want to go for. You could go for Courage, you could go for Storm Ragers. Up to you, honestly. People like Bruiser Lee Sin, or just Lee Sin in general, really. Thunderlords is a good choice on him, but you could also go Courage of the Colossus because your ultimate counts as this hard CC that will trigger this. So if you start a team fight in the late game, you jump in, you kick someone, then you don't even need to do a good kick. It's not about how many people you hit with your kick, it's just doing the hard CC and then how many people are around you. So if you jump into the enemy team and kick them, or try and kick someone and there are people around you, then you're going to get a massive shield as well. So it's useful for Lee Sin. People like Graves have always had like a really weird like mastery page that I don't think you wouldn't be able to go Courage of the Colossus on Graves. He doesn't have any hard CC, but you'd want to go something like Thunderlords or Warlords on Graves now. But outside of that, really, it's very like champion specific, but you can kind of make up what it is that you want to do. I would say Thunderlords is just like a really solid choice overall, but Courage of the Colossus, if you have hard CC, if in doubt, I would just take this mastery. I think it's really strong. However, there are some champions I want to draw some attention to as well, which I think is actually a bit like, this is something I honestly don't know what to say because I don't really think there's a good mastery choice for tanks with no hard CC. People like Dr. Mundo and Olaf. Olaf is obviously the biggest example because he's like one of the most popular junglers around right now, and he fits in this category. You can't go Courage of the Colossus on Olaf. You don't have any hard CC to proc it. It's not going to work. Olaf is not really someone that wants to go Thunderlords. what do you do? I mean, you used to always go Strength of the Ages. He doesn't really have any other good mastery choices. He has some okay ones, like Storm Raiders. I was kind of talking about this a little bit with LS on Twitter last night. Storm Raiders, you know, it seems like the only one that would make sense on him, but are you really going to be doing 30% of a champion's health in 2.5 seconds? It's not a lot of time to do it in without already having your Ghost and your Ultimate up. And if you have your Ghost and your Ultimate up, it kind of feels like, okay, I'm already going Super Saiyan speed, I'm already immune to CC, why do I need an extra burst of move speed and slow immunity? You know, it kind of feels like overkill, in which case, what do? Do you go for Fervor because of your W attack speed buff, just gets loads of AD? Do you just go for Grasp the Undying? Maybe you go for Bond of Stone for the 4% damage reduction. You know, it doesn't really feel like there's a great choice on him. So I kind of think it's up to you what you want to take when you're playing people like Olaf, when you're playing people like Mundo. That is kind of down to your discretion. But outside of that, you just have some like really weird choices, honestly, for just like very specific pages. I mentioned Graves as before, but even someone like Rengar or Kha'Zix, you know, you can go Storm Raiders, you can go Thunderlord's Decree. Rengar, maybe even you could go Courage of the Colossus. I really wouldn't recommend that, but you can maybe do it if you want to initiate a fight late game with your empowered E. That would trigger the Courage of the Colossus, because I think I'm pretty sure the snare counts as a hard CC because you can't move or do anything. I'm actually not 100% sure about that one, because there is a difference in League between like a snare and like I can't remember what it's called now, but I think like a Mumu's ulti counts as a hard CC because you can't attack during, I think it's like a snare and an entangle or something like that. It's a bit confusing, but basically the difference between not being able to move and not being able to move or attack while you're also not able to move. So one of them counts as hard CC, the other, you know what, it's a bit confusing, but look it up, see if you can, you know, test it out basically. But either way, I wouldn't recommend it anyway, so I don't know why I'm bringing it up. But yeah, so you know, there are some just like some very unique choices, but more or less, you know, if you're playing Fiddlesticks as well, you could even go Deathfire Touch. So a lot of Fiddles tend to go Storm Raiders or Thunderlord's Decree as well, but still, basically, that's what I think about the new masteries for junglers in Season 7. I hope this video helped you. Let me know if it did down below. If it didn't, then of course let me know as well. If you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them. This is the preseason, so things may change. I'm going to be doing a lot of gameplays for for champions in the new jungle and with all these new masteries. So when I do those gameplays, I'll obviously tell you what masteries I'm running, which ones I think you should go for. So shouldn't have to worry too much. But if you have any questions as well, always just follow me on Twitter and ask me. I usually answer the questions whenever they come through on Twitter. So either way, thanks for watching this video, boys and girls. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. If you did, feel free to give me that cheeky thumbs up. You can also subscribe to me for more League content. You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, and catch me streaming over at twitch.tv/Volkshop. All those links are down below. And our description. Most importantly, thanks so much for watching, boys and girls. Have a great day. And I'll see you in my next video.